Keanu Reeves pulled into the downtown parking garage, the hum of the city surrounding him. It was a busy Friday afternoon, and finding a spot wasn't easy. After circling the floors twice, he finally spotted an open space near the elevator. As he parked and made his way toward the exit, he noticed the parking attendant, a middle-aged man with a weary expression, checking tickets near the exit booth. Keanu approached, ticket in hand, ready to pay the fee and leave. But when the attendant looked at the ticket and then at him, there was a flicker of hesitation. "Sir," the attendant said, voice flat, "this ticket's showing you were parked in the premium spots without paying the extra fee." Keanu frowned. He'd parked exactly where the signs allowed, and the ticket didn't mention premium zones. "I don't think that's right," Keanu said calmly. "I paid for the spot at the kiosk." The attendant's eyes narrowed. "The kiosk didn't register the premium spots. You need to pay an additional $20. Keanu's jaw tightened. "I didn't see any signs about premium fees, and I'm pretty sure I followed the instructions correctly." The attendant crossed his arms. "Rules are rules. You have to pay." A small line was forming behind Keanu, and the tension was rising. Feeling frustrated but wanting to avoid a scene, Keanu asked, "Is there someone I can talk to? A manager, maybe?" The attendant shook his head. "No managers here right now. It's my call." Keanu looked around and saw people watching, some curious, some annoyed. This wasn't how he wanted to spend his afternoon. "Look," Keanu said, lowering his voice, "I don't want to make trouble, but I also want to be fair. Can we figure this out without causing a fuss?" The attendant hesitated, then sighed. "Fine, but you have to pay the fee. No exceptions." Keanu reached into his wallet, but then paused. Something about the attendant's tone and the situation felt off. "Wait," Keanu said. "Why are you so strict about this? Is everything okay?" The attendant's face flickered with something unreadable. Stress, maybe desperation. "Look, it's just my job," he muttered. "But sometimes things get complicated." Keanu's curiosity was piqued. He decided to hold off paying immediately. "Tell me," Keanu said gently, "what's complicated?" The attendant looked around nervously before lowering his voice. "Let's just say there are some people behind the scenes who expect me to bring in extra money. Sometimes I don't have much choice." Keanu's eyes narrowed. "Are you saying this is some kind of scam?" The attendant nodded reluctantly. "If I don't collect, I get into trouble. But it's not always easy." Keanu felt a mix of frustration and sympathy. What started as a simple dispute was revealing something bigger. He took a deep breath. "Maybe I can help. But first, let's clear up this ticket situation." The attendant gave a tired smile. "All right, maybe we can talk." Keanu pulled up a chair beside the attendant's booth, the city noise fading into the background as the two began to talk. The attendant introduced himself as Carl, a man who'd worked the parking garage for years. But recently, Carl explained, things had changed. New management had imposed strict financial targets, forcing attendants like him to collect unofficial fees to meet quotas. Keanu listened intently, sensing the weight Carl carried. "It's not just about the parking," Carl said quietly. "If you don't meet the numbers, you face consequences. Warnings, loss of hours, or worse." Keanu frowned. "That's awful. But extorting extra fees from customers? That's illegal." Carl shrugged. "Not much choice. It's not like they give us a way out." Keanu nodded, formulating a plan. "Have you talked to anyone higher up? Reported this?" Carl shook his head. "Who? The managers? They're in on it. I'm stuck in the middle." The more Carl spoke, the clearer the problem became. A corrupt system trapping honest workers. Keanu felt compelled to act. But he also knew this wasn't a battle to fight alone. "Let me help," Keanu said. "I can bring attention to this. Maybe the public can pressure them to change." Carl looked skeptical but hopeful. I'm tired of being scared all the time." They agreed Keanu would discreetly document their conversations and gather evidence. Keanu promised to keep Carl's identity confidential to protect him from retaliation. That evening, Keanu left the garage with a renewed sense of purpose. What had started as a minor disagreement had evolved into something bigger, a fight against corruption in an everyday place. Over the next days, Keanu used his platform quietly. He spoke with other attendants and customers, gathering stories of unfair fees and intimidation. Some were hesitant, fearing repercussions, but many shared their experiences once they trusted Keanu. Meanwhile, Carl faced increasing pressure at work. One day, a manager cornered him, warning to drop the nonsense and focus on collections. Carl confided in Keanu over a phone call, voice trembling. "I don't know how much longer I can take this." Keanu assured him he wasn't alone. "We'll get through this together." Determined, Keanu prepared to expose the corruption, carefully, legally, and with the support of the community. But as the story gained traction, unexpected forces started to push back. The parking company's legal team sent a cease and desist letter to Keanu's representatives, warning against public allegations without proof. Keanu's resolve hardened. This wasn't just about parking fees anymore. It was about standing up for ordinary people caught in unfair systems. With the cease and desist letter in hand, Keanu knew this fight would get tougher, but backing down wasn't an option. He arranged a private meeting with Carl and a few other parking attendants willing to share their stories anonymously. In a small rented conference room, the attendants spoke openly about the pressures, the unofficial fees, and the fear that kept them silent. Keanu listened, recording every detail, knowing the truth was powerful, but needed to be handled carefully. Next, Keanu contacted a trusted investigative journalist, someone known for exposing corporate corruption without sensationalism. Together, they crafted a plan to bring the story to light responsibly. Meanwhile, Carl's situation worsened. His hours were cut, and he faced subtle threats from supervisors. One night, a group of men approached him after work, warning him to stay quiet. Keanu stepped in, coordinating with local authorities to ensure Carl's safety. The tension was real. This was no longer just a parking dispute. It had become a battle against intimidation. The journalist's article was published online, detailing the systemic extortion at the parking garage and the courage of workers like Carl. The story quickly gained traction, sparking outrage from customers and the local community. Keanu used his social media quietly but effectively, sharing facts, supporting the attendants, and urging the public to demand change. The parking company issued a statement denying the allegations and threatening legal action, but the public pressure was mounting. Customers began boycotting the garage, and city officials launched an investigation. Keanu organized a peaceful protest outside the parking garage, joined by workers, community members, and fans who admired his dedication to justice. Despite the tension, the protest remained calm, with Keanu speaking passionately about fairness, dignity, and standing up for ordinary people. The turning point came when an internal whistleblower from a parking company came forward, providing documents confirming the extortion scheme. With irrefutable evidence, the company was forced to make sweeping changes, firing corrupt managers, implementing transparent policies, and compensating affected customers. Carl and other attendants were given official apologies and reassurances their voices would be heard going forward. Keanu stood with Carl as they watched the first day of the new management, a moment of victory born from conflict, courage, and compassion. With the corrupt management ousted and new leadership in place, the parking garage slowly began to change. The atmosphere shifted from tense and distrustful to hopeful and cooperative. Carl returned to work with a renewed sense of purpose, no longer burdened by fear or unfair demands. Keanu made a point to visit often, not as a celebrity, but as a friend and ally. Their relationship had grown beyond the initial conflict. Keanu learned about Carl's family struggles, the bills he struggled to pay, and the pride he took in providing honest service. Carl, in turn, saw Keanu as someone who genuinely cared, not just a public figure. Together, they worked to create an employee committee that ensured workers had a voice and safeguards against exploitation. Meanwhile, the community responded positively to the changes. Regular customers returned, appreciating the transparency and respect. One afternoon, Keanu organized a small gathering in the garage's lobby, a celebration of the workers and the community's victory. It was informal but heartfelt, with food donated by local businesses and speeches from those who had fought for justice. Keanu took the mic. "This isn't just about parking fees," he said. "It's about standing up for what's right, about seeing the humanity in everyone we meet." Carl showed courage not just by doing his job, but by speaking out. Carl nodded, humbled. "I never thought I'd be part of something like this. It's more than just a job now. It's a community." The success sparked media interest in similar stories across the city, inspiring workers in other industries to speak up and seek change. For Keanu, the experience was a powerful reminder. Sometimes real-life conflicts aren't about the drama or the spotlight. They're about ordinary people facing unfairness and the strength that comes from standing together. As he left the garage that day, Keanu smiled quietly to himself. What began as a frustrating disagreement had transformed into a story of hope, courage, and unexpected friendship. Sometimes the smallest conflicts can lead to the biggest changes. Weeks after the victory at the parking garage, life settled into a new rhythm for Keanu and Carl. The story had spread beyond the city, sparking conversations about workers' rights, corporate accountability, and the power of ordinary people to create change. Keanu received messages from fans and strangers alike, some sharing their own stories of workplace struggles, others thanking him for using his voice. But for Keanu, the real reward was the friendship forged in unlikely circumstances. One afternoon, Carl invited Keanu to his home for a barbecue, a chance to celebrate not just the victory but the bonds that had formed. Around the grill, neighbors shared laughter, stories, and dreams for the future. Carl's kids ran through the yard, their energy infectious. Keanu looked around and felt a deep sense of belonging, a far cry from the glitz and glamour of his usual world. As the sun set, Carl clapped Keanu on the shoulder. "You know, I never thought a parking dispute could change my life, but it did." Keanu smiled. Sometimes it's the everyday conflicts that lead to the most meaningful connections. Before leaving, Keanu took a moment to reflect. This wasn't just a story about a parking lot or unfair fees. It was a reminder that behind every conflict, there are real people with real struggles. And sometimes, all it takes is one person willing to listen, to stand up, and to make a difference. As Keanu drove away that evening, the city lights twinkling ahead, he knew the journey wasn't over. There would always be new challenges, new conflicts. But now he carried with him a renewed belief in the power of kindness, courage, and community. The parking lot dispute had started as a simple confrontation, but ended as a story of hope, one that neither he nor Carl would forget.